Hi, and very good afternoon. It's June from maverickstar. I want to in this video express the importance of why I've invested so much time into this anomaly that we're in right now currently. And I'm going to attempt to do that right now because I don't think a lot of people actually realise the magnitude of this event. And it can be very quickly summarised, hopefully, in a series of a single video, if I get it right, or a couple of videos. I don't know. But what I'll try and do is just go over some very important facts briefly as I can, so that you can get an idea of the enormity of this anomaly that we're going through. Now, there are some organisations out there that believe that the current magnetic reversal that's taking place has no effect on the climate of the planet, and hopefully I will show you something a bit later on in this video that will demonstrate that I think that some of these big well-known organisations might not quite should I say have made some of the links to climate, which I think are very obvious. And I think that even if we had these experts here today, they would say, well, that is very interesting facts that you're putting on the table, Gene. And although the similarities in temperature and magnetic intensity do appear to show the same image, there is no solid let's say peer-reviewed data to support your theory. So I'm going to present a theory that has not been peer-reviewed. Let's just put it down on the table. It hasn't. But I think you'll agree with me when you see what I'm going to show you, that there is no doubt that there is, I think, possible dangers posed to a reducing magnetosphere, which in turn will allow more harmful radiation from outside of our magnetosphere to penetrate through our atmosphere and affect those that are already vulnerable. And I think I'll better get on and show you some facts. So I do apologise for the resolution of this, but I'm sure you'll find, if you want to look at a higher resolution of the World Magnetic Model, you'll find one of 2020, and that's the one we're going to focus on. So I'm going to zoom in on a particular area of interest that we've been talking about for quite some time now, and that is over Russia right now. And if you look at a better resolution of video or image that I'm showing you, you'll see that the epicenter here, well, I'm just going to draw a black line there in the center. At the very center there, it's in the range of 60,000 nanoteslas. And then if I just bring the chart down to the lowest intensity on our planet and show you the level of nanoteslas there, so at the epicenter here and here, because this is the South Atlantic anomaly, which is reducing, the field strength is 25,000 nanoteslas. Now, our Earth, and I don't want to confuse you, but our Earth has around 0.25, which represents 50 nanoteslas, to 0.6 gauss in strength, magnetic strength. And the reason why I'm talking about gauss and converting nanoteslas into gauss is because I have a project which I'm very soon going to start undertaking, because we have now a magnetic sensor which is capable of getting within those two ranges between 25 and 60,000 nanotesla. It's a very highly sensitive sensor, and it's going to require some programming again, which I believe I've got the skill set to do now. You know, I think with some of the programs that I've already written, I can chop out some of the bits and integrate them into this new program, the new breakout board and the new sensor. But we're going to have to take particular care on where we position this. Now, I'm lucky here in this location. It's a rural area, and I also live in a cul-de-sac, so the traffic that comes past, which would affect the sensor. If there was a high level of traffic, we would get random uncertainties all the time, would affect the readings. But because there's not free-flowing traffic coming down the road, and that we can position it almost in a field, which is an open countryside, we can get quantitative information. And some of the errors we'll get when cars go past, that's how sensitive, guys, this sensor is. When the cars go past, it will trigger you know, an anomaly which will have a higher reading than our base reading. But when we put it in Excel, we can filter out all those high anomalies, because if we are looking at changes to the magnetosphere strength, it will be constant and taking place over a slower time until things really start to accelerate with the pole migration. I'm trying not to be too technical here, guys. I want to show you you know, what really is the issue here is that we have people currently on our planet which is receiving a lot less protection than in other regions. Let's just say those in Brazil and Chile that are receiving a lot less than those that are in Russia right now, and therefore are at twice the amount of exposure because of that. No scientific organisation would deny that fact. We know that this has implications when satellites fly over the South Atlantic anomaly, and therefore, you know, those people that reside there, and you know, currently, as we can see that I know that this is 3 years old, this image that we're looking at. Currently, now the South Atlantic anomaly has spread over to the south continent of Africa. It's over the south continent of Africa right now, so those are exposed as much as those in Chile, Brazil, and you know, in some parts of Colombia. So, you know, that's the real implications of what's happening, and this is set to go even lower, and not just for those on that continent down there in the south, but for those further up north, because we know that when the magnetic poles reverse, the magnetosphere drops considerably lower. So although at the moment they're experiencing 60,000 nanotesla in Russia compared to those in Chile, Brazil and some parts of Colombia, where they're only receiving 25, I mean, that is almost 1/3 of the protection that they're getting in Russia. So, you know, they're nearly 2 times getting exposure to you know, cosmic radiation than those in Russia. And that's why, you know, I've invested a lot of time, and I will continue to invest the time. Some of these electronics can be put together relatively easy now, because I've gained over the years a knowledge of, you know, assembling them and even programming them. And I think that's where the biggest cost comes into these pieces of equipment where we've got right now. You know, to employ a company to manufacture these, you're going to be needing, you know, programmers, you're going to need project managers, you're going to need scientists, you know, you're going to need a lot of key people. Well, you can imagine the yearly salary of all these people. I've been lucky over the years to put these skill sets together. So we've got, you know, here at the observatory, at least me, who can put these things together. I'm not saying how fast we can get this new sensor online. I know there's going to be a lot of calibration involved. We've got to build another coil, which has to have the sensor inserted into the coil at the center of it, so that we can calibrate it perfectly, so that when we're measuring you know, the electromagnetic pulse in the coil. Basically, that's what the sensor is. It's a very highly wound, specialised coil that's been built. When we're measuring that, we can tell whether there are fluctuations outside that coil, and the coil will detect that and send it back to the computer breakout board. I know that sounds very easy, and again, I'm not going to make life easier for myself by, you know, just running wires to it. It's going to be a wireless system, and that means the bulk of the electronics at the sensor end have to be as far away from the sensor as possible. It's the same scenario for the swarm mission satellites. At the end of the boom is where the sensor was, and the reason for that is because these sensors were that sensitive that the other equipment on the other end of the spacecraft would be influencing the readings. So, you know, that's what we've got. I've got the sensor here right now, and it's just going to require time to build the necessary equipment around that, and then time to calibrate it. And then we add another you know, specialized piece of equipment to the observatory, and we can look at then magnetosphere strengths. We can test the product here at the observatory, and then it is with my intention to get one straight out to somewhere in Brazil, Chile, or Colombia, so that we, or even South Africa, or even both of those continents, so that we can start bringing back, you know, critical data for us here on the levels of reduction of the magnetosphere, because that is where I'm turning my attention to now. We've got the positioning of the magnetic North Pole covered, but what we need to do is focus on really the main point, which is the exposure to cosmic radiation. And we know we've already looked at a lot of things to do with this now. We're building up quite an in-depth knowledge of the subject of geomagnetics, and you know, we're putting together a bigger picture as a result of now having equipment out in the field. Reason why I talk about time not being, you know, I mean, equipment not being as most important as time, because time is what allows me to build these things for us, run the website, and then notify you on YouTube. That requires a lot of time, and unfortunately it requires a little bit of support. So if you're interested in, you know, continually supporting us here, you know, we'll continually, even though, you know, sometimes we don't have the money of some of these big organisations, but over time, you know, and you know, perseverance, we can put together a nice package which can, you know, constantly monitor what's going on with this current anomaly, that being the geomagnetic reversal that we're currently in. Now, I know some people say, oh, this event is going to take 1,000 years, and I think that the next video will prove that wrong. And of course, what we're looking at is the magnetic North Pole migrating just over a period of 50 years, and you'll notice the acceleration over that time period towards the present time that we're in right now. So that is why this anomaly is so important, because the faster the pole migrates, the more we are going to get closer to that reversal point, if we're not on the doorstep and fringe of that already. And we know what comes next, because over that same period of time we've also been told, not just by some of the main organisations, but other people that are studying geomagnetics, that, you know, we are seeing a reduction in the magnetosphere strength, and that is where this next project that we're going to be undertaking comes in to its own, because this will be able to measure the field strength and the fluctuations and changes in that over a time period, so that we will see how close we are to seeing, you know, further acceleration. For one, we'll be able to work out over a period of time how long we've got, and we've already got, you know, the positioning of the magnetic North Pole. But what science is all about is proving it in more than one way. I think other scientists would agree that if you can prove it in more than one way, that, you know, not only are we seeing the magnetic pole accelerate to that 40-degree mark, we've seen it surpass the 40-degree mark. We know that now we're in that critical zone where between 40 and 45 degrees we will see an acceleration, and, you know, probably the completion of a reversal take place. So if we can see also at the same time and compare that data with not just the pole migrating over time, we can compare it with the weakening of the magnetosphere. You know, we've got not just one scientific anomaly that proves we're heading towards a reversal, and we can pinpoint a date at the future where this is going to happen. We can also say that, look, we're also seeing a pole migration and a magnetosphere weakening. Both lead to the same consequences. So I just wanted to tell you that, you know, we are going to be undertaking another project and building, or beginning the build of, some new equipment for the observatory. This is not like the other magnetometers we got. This is on a completely new scale compared to that. This is like going from analog to digital, and the resolution and sensitivity of it is completely on another scale. You know, whereas the ones that we're using at the moment are 3 axes. So we've got 9 axes. Is that what we use in the Trimax system, and 3 magnetometers. This will be, you know, a very highly sensitive sensor that is going to, you know, need and require to be placed in very specific areas because of its sensitivity. But, you know, I think we've got a good location here in the UK to put one. We would have to find a similar location in Brazil or Africa, and you know, we could get some really good results. And obviously, because of the sensitivity, we could knock out the uncertainties and the anomalies that are not true very easily by just doing some processing with the data. So, you know, if you want to help support what we're doing, you know, we're still here, guys. We're still looking towards the future. You know, we're still trying to develop the observatory to become even more credible and better. I know we're always going to have haters. Every time we do a video, we get one pop up, and you know, a little bit of advice for them is it's not tolerated anymore. You know, if you come to the comment section with just nonsense and no credible, productive conversation, you know, as soon as I detect you're just causing trouble, you get kicked. So I say to you, just don't bother wasting your time, you know, writing the comment if you're going to be a wicked person. I've got no time or tolerance for it, so you just get kicked. And we do kick people every day. We do a video because I just got no time. I just don't even answer them anymore. We've got a fanatic in Canada that just don't give up. And you know, if anyone took the time, I'm not even going to mention his name, and he hates that because that's what he wants. He's even told me that he just wants me to mention him so that, you know, he can improve his subscribers. But I won't. But if you do come across him, you're going to find he's ill. He's not playing with the full deck of cards, clearly, and he's not qualified either. And there's a lot of people that have, you know, their armchair warrior t-shirts on when they come into the comment section. Let me just tell you something, it's just pointless these days, because I just block them. So don't bother. You can try, but you're just going to get blocked. Anyhow, that's not the important thing here. What is important is what we've already discussed. And you know, I think it's still a valuable course, warrants a bit of support. And if you want to do become one of our supporters, there's a link down there. You can make a one-off payment on PayPal. Simple. And you know, I really hope that you do, because, you know, we've waited till this point in time. We're starting to see some exciting results, and, you know, now with the announcement of bringing on some new equipment in the not too distant future, you know, I'm hoping that that will encourage a few more people to support what we do, because let's face it, some of these other organisations out there are not forthcoming with the information, are they? And you certainly won't hear them talk about the level of reduction of protection with regards to the South Atlantic anomaly. compared to other parts of the world, which is nearly 2/3 less than everybody else. For that reason alone, I think it's worth supporting. So I'm going to say what I usually do, guys. There is a link there if you want to help. You know, thank you to those that have over the last couple of days. I always say thank you. I'm very grateful, and I'll say what I usually do. Take care of your loved ones, as always. Bye for now.